is the formula. This is the formula. This is the formula.
Sankofa sequence initiated. Let's go back to the future.
No sound.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. Today is Sunday, June 21st. Hope you had a great Juneteenth celebration this weekend. You're watching The Formula, where we get together for every week. Sorry, excuse me. Hold on a second. Sorry, technology is screwing me over. All right, you are watching The Formula, where we get together every week for a meeting of the minds to crack success codes and discover ways to apply the formula A equals EP2, which means ascension or progress is the outcome of experience in proper perspective to this thing that we call life. Going to have an amazing time today. We've got some great information to share. So, you know what I always say, go grab your coffee, grab your journal and pen, send the link to a friend you know who is interested in personal growth and development. Please, if you're over on YouTube watching us this morning, like and share the video and subscribe to the channel and get ready for a journey into the substance of the soul. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started. Our affirmation of the day is, it is what it is, and that is okay. Stop trying to place everything somewhere in a good or bad binary. Stop trying to find a reason for everything. Stop rehearsing things that already happened over and over again in your head, playing out scenarios of what you should have done or wish you would have done or wish you would have said. It's done. It's over. It is what it is, and that is okay. Stop worrying about what other people might be thinking about you and trying to figure out how to adjust or how to edit yourself to change that perception. Be comfortable with you. You are who you are, and that is okay. In essence, sometimes you have to let whatever is just be without the need to critique or judge it, without feeling bad about it, without wishing it was something else. How can you make peace with what is? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Well, you can make peace with what is by practicing this thing called radical acceptance. You know what radical acceptance looks like? It looks like coming into this show with a tech setup that was not cooperating, things not working out the way that it was supposed to. And there's that little voice in the back of your head that wants to say, oh, I wish that's going to look bad. I wish that I'm going to have to go edit that out. I wish it had gone differently. I wish things had happened differently. My microphone is falling down this morning. It's one of those things. But in the face of dealing with all of this chaos and all these experiences, it is what it is. It is what it is, and that is okay. And I've had to learn that because I'm the kind of person that in the aftermath of all of that kind of stuff happening, when the show is over with, normally probably sit for several hours and go back and replay everything that went wrong and everything I wish I had done differently. It is what it is, and that is okay. Because all the wishful thinking in the world, it gives us plenty to do, but it accomplishes nothing. Obsessing over what really happened, when what we really need to do is just accept what it was. Accept it. Obsessing over those things doesn't do anything but deepen the wounds of shame, regret, and feelings of powerlessness. So the affirmation of the day is, it is what it is, and that is okay. All right, let me introduce my amazing co-host this morning, and then I can try to fix some of these tech issues. None other than, well, he's terrible at responding to text messages when you need him to, but he will respond if he needs you to hear a poem. He wanders off into business meetings and planning or writing poems while you're talking to him on the phone. He will force a poem on you while he is talking to you, and he does not ask for consent before basically coercing your thought stream. But he is a decent human being. Lots of people say so, and he is one of the most consistent people I know in the world. And I guess he's all right if you go for that kind of thing. Musician, father, yoga instructor, meditation teacher, Yogi John. Yogi, where you at? Get on in here and help me out this morning. So I
Good
can
morning. Good morning.
all the chaos. This is crazy. Nothing was working right. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
what
Good
it
morning,
is?
everybody. I am up in Philadelphia, here to see my fathers. I have a stepfather and a dad as well, so I'm going to be going to see them, both of them, this morning. But I'm excited. I got my Happy Father's Day stuff is coming in. It's a good day so far, and I'm excited to do this and get into the nitty gritty it is today.
Okay. How was your week?
My week, I have a lot of complaints, and I'm trying not to complain.
I mean, yeah, you might want to. Now that I think about it, you might want to measure some of your complaints before you get yourself into trouble. But
Yeah, no. That's a definite. I'm definite. No, but I'm actually quite satisfied with the week. It's been easier. It's more acceptance of what's going on than it is trying to change what's going on. So the less I fight and the more I sit with it, the more it's like it's not that bad.
it is what it is,
Right.
right?
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So we are supposed to do the group chat, the journal, John, this morning. I got me saying John like I'm from Philly. I'm trying to get this background
Yeah,
music working.
yeah, get into it.
Nah. I first started hearing this word 1993, I think it was. When 1993 when I first got to NCCU. And a young lady that I met that I'm still very good friends with to this day, named Zakia. When we first met, I told her my real name, my government name was Eddie. She didn't like that, so she told me I looked more like a Roger. So she introduced me to everybody on campus as Roger, and to this day, still calls me Roger from time to. I don't look like a Roger.
That's
I think
crazy.
that's to do with one of these TV shows where the tagline or something was "Go home, Roger." What show was that?
Mhm. That was Sister.
Yeah, I didn't. I never watched that show. But anyway,
T and
never
Tamara.
watched that show. All right. You want to go first while I find my journal?
Sure.
For those of you in the audience, so first of all, let me just back up and say that Yogi, Edwina, or Mahogany Soul, and myself really have designed this show to be somewhat of a live healing circle for the three of us, because we all talk to each other, individually, but this is the opportunity for us on a weekly basis to come together, to sit at the table and to feed one another, and then the audience just so happens to get to sit in on that and participate in that. But one of the things that we have taken up doing is during the week we journal, and then on Sunday we do this little group chat segment where we share from the things that we journal during the week and see where that conversation goes. So, Yogi, what you got?
My journal this week, one of my journals this week. The recovering overthinker. How do you shut down your mind? You don't. You simply sit and watch the thoughts as they keep pouring out. Like watching a waterfall and sitting and realizing you are not the thoughts. You're the watcher. And you can be present while the thoughts are still going. You can let them pass and actually enjoy them and all their various ways of appearing. And you can choose which ones you want to focus on. And the more you sit, the more it just becomes peaceful. Like sitting on the edge of a river watching the waterfall. And the chaos gets into a rhythm almost. And you can find peace there.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, it sounded like you were improvising. Are you lying to me? Did you not journal this week? Is that what we're really dealing with right here? What's going on?
I improv the last 2 lines.
Because you didn't finish right there, right? Okay. Well, so as you know, I think I told you. Yeah, I told you. Some time ago, I was thinking about how even though I'm not a Bible thumper anymore, in the previous life I was, and my thoughts and feelings around that book, whatever. But I was thinking about and appreciating how that book as an artifact. Are you hearing static, or is it just in my headphones?
I don't
No
hear
static.
static.
Okay, cool. All right. So how that book, for those who believe in it, actually serves as an anchor, a grounding tool. You always have something to come back to. Now, a lot of people are like deconstructing or whatever, and in the absence or in the aftermath of deconstruction, I was thinking about, well, what are you left with if you don't have a book? And so it occurred to me, like, why don't you write your own Bible? And so I have been going through in some of my journaling time, writing my own Psalms, my own Proverbs. I even started my own Genesis, my own origin story. But I'll share with you what I journaled yesterday. One is rest, a proverb. You must remember, well, this was all one journaling session, so it's broken up into 3 parts, though. You must remember that rest is a form of productivity, too. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to justify it. You need only remember that it is essential and that your body and everything else in your life demands it. The answer to your exhaustion is not creating a list of more things to do. Go to bed. Allow yourself to be at peace with doing nothing and being okay with that. This life, this world, has conditioned you to believe that rest is lazy or unproductive. Your upbringing did the same. You must unlearn all this and listen to your system. Understimulation, a proverb. The man who does not know the difference between boredom and peace will impulsively create spiritual chaos chasing stimulation.
Mm.
The man who wages war with peace mistakes an ally for an enemy, gifts for curses, and benevolence for offense. Life and power, a proverb. In the beginning you were, and then you used your mouth to build a house for the world to occupy while you sat outside it, grieving the loss of yourself, deteriorating a little more each day while the world shoveled its dirt on top of you, quieting the life that might have been too loud. Will you claw? Will you fight your way through the weight and the mud and the death of it all to breathe, to demand living space? Or will you simply accept that people like you belong underground? In the unseen and unheard of it all, screaming all of the things you should have said to everybody in hushed tones to nobody but the other decomposed people down there with you, that's what you'll be doing. Given the choice between Jesus and Judas, you chose to betray yourself because you could somehow still get to the silver lining if you betrayed yourself. If you sacrificed your life to spare the world the inconvenience of having to accept you as the litmus test of their confessions of faith, now you know the test never needed recalibration. All along, it was a simple matter of teachers mistaking themselves for students while students were allowed to call themselves teachers. Misidentified variables that complicate the equation, making it always end in wrong answers and dead men walking while the living sleep beneath their feet. In the beginning, you weren't intended to be the underside of an impression. You were always positioned as the pressure and the measure of how much they mean it when they say they believe in love, that they love everybody, that they love themselves, when you know it is impossible for man to love anybody if he doesn't first love himself. And it's impossible to love himself if truly he hates anyone at all, because all are one, and that is the revelation. And hate anywhere is a problem for love everywhere. And the man who does not know this will teach the world his religion of self deception, and then we'll all end up holding heels if we believe it. What do you believe, really believe about you? You might have been one of the Jesuses too, but choosing Judas came with silver and no sacrifice. You were always destined to die, but you were born with options. Yeah.
So I think that we tend to I have a lot of thoughts from that. I gotta
We got time. We got
process.
time. No, we got time. That's what we're here for. So, yeah. I mean, I know we got like our goal is 11:30, but
Got you.
whatever. Yeah, let's
Got
do
you.
what we're here for.
So the thought of that you initially introduced about writing
Mm-hmm.
your own Bible,
Mm-hmm.
it took me to the 5-pointed star.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I learned about symbols and the methodology that's used to identify to the understanding of what the symbols mean, when you see the 5-pointed star in symboliography, it's denoting a nation, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
also denoting a man, a Virtuoso man from Leonardo da Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's these 5 points, right? And these 5 points, you'll hear 5 points a lot if you go to any Masonic lodges, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
People who make businesses, they use 5 points a lot. But it's the elements that create a nation, and it starts with the man inside of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the concept of Allah, arm, leg, arm, head, being that the Virtuoso man again. But then you also have that extended outside is um, food, language, land, culture, flag.
Mm-hmm.
And culture is defined usually as religion.
Mm-hmm.
Every group of people starts with a religion. They start because without it, man is doomed to be lost in his own fear of the world. And so he explains his ability to, or projecting what he would like in some way into the world. And that's where people end up creating religions
Mm-hmm.
um, as an anchor to moving forward, or an anchor that's pulling you forward.
Creating
Um,
religions or creating.
well, the book is the establishment of the religion, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so when we have these, everyone does this, no matter what land you come across, no matter what group of people, they create this doctrine that allows them to um, legitimize their presence
Mm-hmm.
as well as their pursuit of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so in not creating your own book, someone else has control of your future
Mm-hmm.
because they're telling you where you need to be at before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a big one for me is that because when you get into conversations and people always reference this particular guide, and it's like there are other guides, but tell me why you're so why you're so attached to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a consistency of nobody wants to do that work. So when you start to do the work, you end up in a space where you're like, oh, I have to create my own book, or somebody else is in control of my destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Sankofa concept, go back and get it. Like I felt like you've already experienced the text. You are the living text. You've already learned the lessons and acquired the wisdoms. You just haven't written them down. You share them, you talk about them with people all the time, but you have not bothered to write them down. But what would it look like if you were able to wake up every morning and flip to, based upon your understanding of how you feel and what you need for the day, to flip to a page in your book that has a prayer already written out for you? Say this, an affirmation already written out for you. What would it look like to have a set of proverbs and psalms that are written in your voice, and in alignment with your life, that speak to the times when you're battling anxiety and depression, to remind you of what you need to do and how you need to survive that, right?
Right.
um and it becomes your Bible, to write your own Genesis, your own story, your own law book, you know, to turn your experiences into these allegories, similar to what this
Right.
book has
Right.
offered to
It's
people.
somebody
Hmm.
collecting these different lessons, putting it in their own words for themselves. I think
Hmm.
the issue comes in is when you adopt somebody else's book. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you have to write your own book. Every religion has their own book. Every group of people have their own book. Every person has come to an understanding of like, oh, I need a way to guide myself based off the lessons that I've learned, right? And even if you
Hmm.
and they are all the same for the most part. You go back and you look at these things and they're all similar, just different interpretations of the same rules or ways of moving about in this plane of existence. And I think that it happens to be um for me, I start whenever I've looked at the rules. I've read the Bible, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read a lot of the Quran, and it comes back to these same rules, which I think um I've learned have all come from the same thing, which is Ma'at's 42 negative confessions.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I always go back to that because of the aspects of, in the religions they say I shall not, and in the negative confessions they say I have not,
Hmm.
which is more present, right? It's more
Hmm. Hmm.
accountability than
Hmm.
it is promising how I'm going to be. It's saying, no, this is what I have done. Um,
Hmm.
and that kind of, like when you were saying that, this is what's coming to mind. This like, well, what have you done? And are you following your own internal compass? And do you need a projection of that, like you said, in a book that can remind you regularly? I think that the reminder is so important because it's very easy to get caught up in the moments without that
Hmm.
reminder, the daily reminders of, as they say in Christianity, the daily bread. uh, you need that reminder of what it is that's balancing you, what it is that's keeping you
Hmm.
in relationship with yourself, in relationship with your energy, in
Hmm.
relationship with your ecosystem and your community.
Yeah.
And
So I'm thinking, the creative wheels have started turning now, because I've already taken on figuring out how to rewrite the stories of certain books. But as you were talking, I was wondering, and I would love to see you try this. If you were to retell the story of the original sin in your origin story,
mm,
what would be the original sin that set everything into motion and changed? You don't have to tell me now. We'll talk about that later
I know it.
offline,
I
because
already know it.
no, we don't have time to get into it. We don't.
No, no, no. It's a real
What is
simple
it?
one.
Mm,
It is dogma. And
mm,
when I say that, I mean the movie.
mm-hmm,
Um, the concept of not allowing God to be God.
mm-hmm,
So you start off by telling a child that they have to work for this connection. They're born in sin. You're not connected. You have to do all these things. And
mm-hmm,
that's the first sin. The first sin is being born
mm-hmm,
in iniquity. The lie of being born in iniquity. Does your mind have doubts? Yes, but that's the human experience. That does not mean
mm-hmm,
that you are not godly, because everything is
mm-hmm,
godly. If God is omnipresent, everything is God. So you can't
mm-hmm,
remove the flaws and say they're not flaws, actually, right? We see them as flaws. They're just being human.
mm-hmm.
So how those are expressed in all the different ways and variations.
You still missed it though. Okay, so again, we'll talk about this offline.
I got you.
But I'm talking about like in your story, and it may not be you. It may be parents who are who figure in the story as Adam and Eve. And I'm trying to figure out what is the original sin, that the apple, the fruit that would be in between. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you were to tell that story, because we talk about generational curses and all those kind of things, but then to tell the Garden of Eden story around the generational curse, the first time that it happened, we're gonna talk about this concept after the show. Yeah, well, let's see. Good morning, Ramrock over there on YouTube. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Oh yeah. I forget about that. Somebody texted me this morning and they said, they said Happy Father's Day. And of course they were talking about my dogs. And I was like, my dogs ain't get me shit. And then I said, well, wait, that's not true. Because that's not true.
Go ahead, tell the story.
Because yesterday I'm vacuuming and I'm vacuuming good and I'm on the backstroke about to push the vacuum cleaner forward. And just as so let me preface all this. We just got a new dog 6 months ago now. His name is Teddy. He's a multi Yorkie, Shih Tzu, all of the things, everything bagel, a whole lot of chaos and a whole lot of special needs. Yeah. And so I'm just about to push the vacuum forward. And as soon as I start moving forward, in a millisecond, he runs right in front of the vacuum cleaner and took a shit. Like, I got you some shit for Father's Day. Here, clean this up too. Do you understand how angry I was in that moment? Like, yeah, happy Father's Day to all the real fathers out there, and all those things. What was I about to do? It's time for us to do. Oh no. All right. I'm sorry. So I got 4 stories that we can pick and choose from. 2 bad and 2 that I guess are good news. I'm on the fence on the good news.
Let's go with the bad stuff first, please.
Well, so I was going to give you the choice. I mean, we can talk about Carmelo. We can talk about Mystical as the bad, either one of the 2, whichever one you want. And then on the good side, we got Ryan Coogler, and we also have the reboot of Different World. What you got? Which ones?
Let's go with the bad first. Let me give me the mystical story.
Okay. Can you still hear me? You can hear me, right? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let me pull Mystical up so we can, just in case there's any mature people out there who might not be familiar. You can at least get a visual of him. Hold on. There we go. All right. So apparently, and so, Mystical holds a special place in my heart because my first marriage, at the wedding reception, and keep in mind, at the time I was an ordained minister, I insisted that the DJ play Shake Your Ass. At the wedding reception, there were some looks. People, were a little perplexed and confused. But anyway, all this is coming from the griot. Mystical was sentenced to 20 years in prison related to a 2022 sexual assault case. I'm not doing all this stuff with saying grape instead of. Okay. Former No Limit rapper has previously been incarcerated on sex crime charges in 2004. He served a 6-year sentence stemming from an incident where he sexually assaulted his hairstylist and faced sexual assault charges in 2017 before the charges were dropped. 55-year-old rapper born Michael Tyler was arrested in 2022. The victim, who appeared in court during his sentencing on Tuesday, asked for the maximum sentence, according to WBRZ. The woman told the court that the rapper, I'm not going to list all the things that he did to her. That may be a bit much for people. But Mystical's response was, "If I did that to you, I deserve the max sentence," he told the courtroom. He faced a life sentence if he were convicted on the original charges, including first-degree sexual assault, simple criminal damage to property, domestic abuse, battery by strangulation, simple robbery, and false imprisonment in the assault. In 2012, he was arrested on a misdemeanor domestic abuse charge involving his then partner and served 9 days in jail, then served 81 days in jail for a probation violation related to his 2004 sentence. In 2017, he turned himself in on a sexual assault charge and was held on a $3 million bond until 2019, when he was released. I said in 2017 he turned himself in, and he was released in 2019. I just let me come back for a second. Hold on, let me take him off. I keep him. You know, like, how many times has this happened now? At this point, keep him.
Listen, every time he come out, he get hotter though. Like, if you hear any of the stuff that he's putting out,
I haven't heard any new music since he's been out.
He came
There is
back
new music
when Lloyd was going independent. He did a song with Lloyd that was crazy. And I was like, "Yo, Mystical is back!" And then next thing I know, he got another charge. And then he got out again, and it was like he put out a freestyle, and I was like, "Oh, Mystical's gonna drop an album." He gonna be in there shaking his ass.
I won't win any fans for this. I won't win any fans for this. I know I won't, but I will say that at this point, in terms of like celebrities, artists, or whatever whatever it is that they produce that I like, because we have all these conversations around like canceling the artist. Can you separate the artist from the art? And I think I've landed at the fact that all artists, all of us, are inherently dirty in one way or another. Some of y'all gonna lie and say, "I'm not dirty. I ain't got no dirt. I don't do nothing. I don't have no toxic habits," or whatever. But in the Black queer community, we have a saying: when somebody comes up to you and they say, "What's tea?" They want the details on such and such. But my friends always remind me that if you don't know the tea, you probably are the tea. And so, like, to say that you don't have any dirt or whatever, you don't have anything that you classify as problematic, but there are probably some people in your life somewhere that find something about you problematic. At this point, I just want I want the art.
They say never meet your superheroes, right?
About the artist.
Yeah, they say never meet your superheroes for a reason. He's not my superhero. I don't want to misconstrue that. But I do recognize that two things. One, he has a problem, has always had a problem. Even in his rap style, it seems like he was just bipolar, just from the way that he created music.
Hold on now, you can't just throw.
No, I'm not saying that was. I'm not. I said it seemed like. It seemed like. I didn't say it was.
2026. You got to.
I didn't say
you
it
can't.
was.
Okay,
I got you. I'm just saying the style itself, not him. The style was very, very like
manic.
High energy. Yeah, manic. There you go.
Manic. I think that's the word. Let me save you. Let me help you today.
Yeah. But and then when you look at these actions over and over again, it brings this thing to mind of like, okay, where is the group of people who are making money off you, who are going to invest in making sure that they can make money off of you long term? I had a friend who I went to high school with who had an anger issue. Every team he was on, he fought. He made it from high school all the way to the NBA, through college and everything. And every team he was on, he fought members of his team all the way up to the NBA. He eventually died after having some domestic situation, killed himself. But the point of that is, like, the whole entire time he had this issue and people were making money off of him, but nobody took the time to say, "Hey, all right, let's make sure that you're good so I can continue to make money off you."
Mhm.
right? Like it's just a weird thing that you
Well,
have these people in these positions and you don't say you don't put some kind of insurance on your
because
investment.
in some cases, the mania is the magic, is where the magic happens. Like and the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking about like Marvin Gaye, who Marvin wasn't addicted to drugs for no reason. I mean, now if you mentioned bipolar diagnosis, he never had a diagnosis, but when I've read all of his biographies, um, if anybody was, I think Marvin definitely was, which drove the aggressiveness in his relationships, the domestic violence. It drove the drug addiction and all of those things. Clearly, everybody could see around him, because it's hard to hide, that something is
Mhm.
wrong. But the mania is the magic. And so they, no, they're not going to intervene. They're not going to try to protect the artist. They don't care about that. Anyway, Mystical, keep him. All right, which one of the good stories you going with?
Um, what was the two good again?
It was Ryan Coogler, Netflix, and then A Different World.
Let's go with Ryan Coogler.
Okay,
Coogler.
we're gonna go with A Different World reboot. All right, thank you for choosing. We're gonna go with A Different World. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me get this image up here so you can also see. Now, Debbie Allen is doing this. Let me find the story. All right. Again, from the Griot. Mm, I'm not particularly excited, but we'll talk about that after the fact. My computer's freezing up. All right, so the upcoming sequel of A Different World is going to be happening on Netflix as well. During Netflix's American Black Film Festival panel in Miami Beach in late May, featuring stars and creators of some of the streamers' hit Black shows, A Different World creator Debbie Allen, showrunner and executive producer of Felicia Pride, whose writing credits include Grey Anatomy, Queen Sugar, and Bel Air, and the series star, is it Malia Joy Moon, the Tony Award-winning actress from Hell's Kitchen, opened up about bringing A Different World back now. And they said, quote, "We passed the torch rather easily. The time right now," this is Debbie Allen, "the time right now, it couldn't be better than right now to hear and see where young Black America is. What do we think about? What are our dreams? What are our hopes? What are our brick walls, our glass ceilings? The upcoming sequel will follow what happens when Deborah Joy Moon, the daughter of original stars Whitley Gilbert and Dwayne Wayne. Okay, so we're picking up with Whitley and Dwayne, returns to Hillman College, the fictional HBCU where the original series took place. The groundbreaking sitcom aired from 87 to 93. And so yeah, they go on with a few more quotes about it, but they don't give you a whole lot beyond that particular narrative in this article. I am not I'm not especially excited because I don't know, A Different World is kind of sacred for those of us who were around when it was actually airing, and I don't know if you can improve on that. I don't think you can improve on perfection. That's just me.
Yeah, that is it is sacred. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited that it's Debbie Allen. I would love
Yeah.
to know if Felicia Rashad is also going to be like part of that. I know they're very close, so
Mhm.
there's it, but we'll see. But I think this could be good. I think it's needed. I will say that. I think it's needed. I think that A Different World came out at a time when the generation that had been watching the Cosbys had was at the point where they were going to college, right?
Mhm.
I think that, and it was so needed for us to have that, like, again, this thing that's anchoring and pulling us in an upward direction.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's why it's needed. One, to get people to be reinvested into the concept of education, but not so education for just building the system or helping the system, but for building your own system. So I would love to see if how they're structuring in this
Mhm.
time, how the teachers are structuring the thought with the kids about like how their future is going to be, what they're going to be looking forward to. Um, that's
Yeah.
one part of it. Then
You
I
exhausted
also
me.
want to see. No. These are good things. I
You
also want to see.
You had to go get all.
I
Okay,
want to
go
see
ahead.
it. I want to see
Yeah,
it.
okay. All right.
I also want to see the although I enjoy the slapstick, I enjoy the the dramas and all of that. The bigger part of that story to me was like that made me want to go to college. That
Mhm.
made me want to be a good student. That you know what I mean?
I hear you.
And so I also want to see how they tackle literacy and comprehension because I think that's a
You want you
huge. Why not? That's what
you
TV's
want an
supposed to be
HBCU
for.
documentary.
That's what TV's supposed to be for. It's supposed to
I
be
will
pulling
settle
us in a direction.
for I'm not excited about a different world reboot, but I would take a Beyonce Homecoming Part 2. All right, that's it. Is there a birthday, graduation, anniversary, or other important event you'd like the Formula Podcast to recognize? Send all pertinent details to theformulapodcast26@gmail.com and let us celebrate you. All right, did you catch that? You got a platform, an event, a book, anything else that you're doing that needs promotion? We would like to help. We're looking for ad partners. You promote us, and we will promote you. Everybody wins. You can contact us by email if you're interested, and we can discuss the details and the terms. Email the Formula Podcast 26@gmail.com. Also, I personally I'm terrible with remembering people's birthdays, but if you are supporting us, we would like to acknowledge your birthday. You can send us your birthdays so that we can shout you out during the show when your time comes. Birthdays, now here's what's included. Birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, etc. Any event that is important to you. Now, we don't do, I just want to be clear, we don't do coming home shout outs for newly released cousins and felons, but we will shout you out if your baby finally passed this grade after being held back a few times. So I'm gonna give you the whole list. We don't do shout outs for people whose OnlyFans accounts finally hit 1,000 subscribers, but we will shout you out if you just had a good old divorce that should have happened 10 years ago or a necessary breakup. We don't do shout outs or congratulations for new apartment approvals, but we will shout out a black ass court case that worked out in your favor because, it's an opportunity for us to say, won't you do it? We don't shout out people who hit the number, but we will shout you out if you won the lottery and we're going to charge you for it because you got it. We don't do shout outs if you finally made bail for beating up your boyfriend's baby mama, but we will shout you out if you're expecting a baby. Caveat. Not the fifth baby, because people stop getting excited about your babies after the second one. We know what you're capable of at this point. Nobody's excited about that fifth baby. Anyway, let me step out of the way. And Yogi, you can take us through tool time. Let's switch up. Let me turn myself off.
All right, I'm going to send you some things that I actually don't have to. I don't have the tools in my presence as I wanted to have them, but I have the pictures. All right, so tool time is where I'm going to give you guys some tools to help you along with your journey, and hopefully it's helpful to you. So throughout our journey and decision making, we gather these essential tools, right? These are the tools that I want to make sure that everyone has because it's taken me some time to gather these tools. Today we are going to be talking about the measuring tape, the speed square, the sand block, and a trash bag. The speed square is a tool that is shaped in a triangular fashion. It's usually metal or plastic, and it has inches and things of that, but it is a exact right angle. It's an exact 90-degree angle. Carpenters often use it to draw lines before they do any cutting and things of that nature. And so the speed square, what makes it unique is that it's already designed with a perfect 90-degree angle. No matter where you place it, it gives the right angle. In the same way, Our intuition is internally built to give a baseline assessment of what's happening around you. It may not give you every detail, but it intimately shows you whether something feels aligned or out of alignment. And when something is off, you feel it. There's something internally that speaks to you. You get an ick, a strange feeling, a sideways look, something unexplainable, some unexplainable sense, but you know that something is not right. And your intuition acts like the speed square by providing an instant reference point for which you can begin evaluating a situation. The versatility of the speed square is what makes it so valuable. It doesn't matter where you place it on any project. It is always reliable. And likewise, your intuition can be applied in the same way in relationships, opportunities, decisions, goals, environments. It serves as a universal starting point for assessment. Before you begin measuring details or gathering data or creating a plan, intuition gives you an intimate sense of direction. It answers the question, does this feel right? And it may not tell you exactly why, but it gives you the foundation on which you can begin to investigate further. And even though intuition is always present, it is not always exact. The speed square can tell you the general, whether something is generally aligned, but it cannot tell you the exact dimensions of the project. In the same way, your intuition provides awareness, but not complete understanding, and it gives you a signal, but still requires interpretation and practice to understand what that signal means. Why? This is why intuition should not be ignored, but it also should not be blindly followed. It is a guide, not the final measurement. And there we come to our next tool, the measuring tape. The measuring tape is a tool you learn to use. Each measurement on the tape gives you an understanding of the dimensions you're working with, whether it be millimeters, quarter inches, half inches, feet, inches and feet. It lets you be both micro and macro, gives you the small details and the big picture while keeping you accurate at every step. This insight grows only through calibration. A classic carpentry mantra is measure twice, cut once. By running your judgment through a rubric where each unit is a question you ask yourself. Each rubric bring like the quarter inch, the half inch, the inch, the feet. Does this align with my goals? Does this align with my values? Is this my reality? By measuring twice, you ensure your insight is precise, both on a small and large scale, so you act with confidence and clarity. And intuition, the speed square, has shown you the angle, and discernment is the measuring tape. It helps you determine the dimensions. The speed square tells whether something appears in line, while the measuring tape tells you exactly how much room you have to work within. The intuition provides the first impression, the discernment provides the verification. Together, they allow you to move with instinct and understanding before taking action, and when coupled together, they show you the angle of pursuit. And the next tool that we'll get into is the sand block. Although it's a very simple tool, it is also one of the most difficult to use because it requires a level of consistency and patience. It comes in mainly two sizes, a small palm piece or a double-sized palm piece, but with different grades or roughnesses. When you're doing any kind of woodwork or wall treatment, you have a rough surface that you need to be smoothed out with this tool. The sand block does not move like the sander. It is not going to move fast. It is actually a detail tool. And this tool is synonymous with patience. In using the sand block, not only are you going to consistently physically be doing the same movement over and over, you're also handling the time. Between the present and the end game of reaching or achieving the goal, the smoothness represents you reaching a particular goal, and the process of it becoming smooth is the patience that is developed. There are many people who don't understand that what patience is. Patience is the practice of being patient. It is a practice of remaining within a space that may be uncomfortable or hard or difficult in many ways, whether it be temporally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, but being able to stay there in the moment until you smooth out your regulation of your emotions into focusing on the moment, which allows you to be consistent in your actions so that you can see the final finish. whether that is a new version of you or a completion of a project or an external goal. That patience is needed for your discernment to work properly, because you have to measure twice before you cut once, ensuring that your measurements are correct from these multiple angles and not just one. And our last tool, the trash bag. The use of discernment and intuition allows you to tell whether you need the last tool of the day, which is the trash bag, or is worth staying patient or starting over. The trash bag represents starting over. Sometimes you have to be patient enough to find out whether it's worth starting over. There are some projects you just can't finish. You can't always see the future of that or feel that something is going to work out when you start. And in the midst of it, you may have to step back and realize this isn't working, and consider redirecting yourself based off the angle of pursuit, and ask yourself, based off the angle of pursuit, am I going to reach the goal if I continue along this path, or will I completely miss it? By looking at the angle of pursuit, you can see whether you will end up where you think you should be by using the measuring tape and the square to determine that angle of pursuit, of course. And if this strategy needs adjustment, and maybe you need to apply some more patience, maybe some more discernment, or maybe it is time to be quicker about letting things go in the trash. Those are your 4 tools of the day. Those are your tools for the day. Please put them in your tool belt. Make sure you keep them on you, and remind yourself always to reach for your tool bag.
That was too heterosexual for me. Whatever. All these tools and shit. What is this?
Don't you worry about it, bitch. I know somebody like me.
When I like it.
Burn.
When I like it. When I like it. Girl, you're blowing my mind with the things you're singing to me.
To quiet one's mind, one must have a dialogue with oneself. I have found enlightenment, but there are so many others who suffer. It's very important to take the time to shut out the outside world. In the Hindu religion, there's a saying, Namaste. It means, fuck you, I have anxiety.
You picked the wrong day, 'cause I ain't in the mood to play friends with you. You picked the wrong day. Let me explain, let me explain.
No claws! No special tutor! Just a boy, not fit to lead! Show him who you are!
Boy, Scar, where you at? Come back. Yeah. All right. Yeah. When I get, let me tell you now, when I get all of this rolling and smoothly,
It's gonna be
coalescing, it's gonna be some. Yeah. I just need a few more weeks to get my shit together. Now listen, you can stay on the screen, but you got to hold your face right, because your mind goes off and you'll start wandering off writing poems in the middle of me talking.
I see a lightning strike. When I get a lightning strike, I got you.
I feel like it's another name for that. I'm gonna let you stay on, but you got to hold it together. So anyway, it's time for Soul Speak, which is what we consider to be the main meal of the Formula Podcast. And Ian, I titled today's conversation, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Not long ago, I was reading through some old poems and I came across one in particular that I want to share, or at least share part of it because it's kind of a long poem. And I want to use it as an entry point into today's conversation around the question, who do you think you are? So let me read some of this and you'll understand why I'm saying this in a minute. All right. It's called Who Got the Body? All right. Who got the body? Hold up, let me back up. Wait, let me fix my hair. I just anxiety. Like once the show gets going and I get amped up. I completely did not mention Mahogany Soul is not with us today because she is not feeling well, and we are sending out all kinds of love and healing prayers and all the positive energy that we can to her. I hope that you are feeling some relief today and that you're better. But yeah, that was just charge it to my head, not to my heart, or whatever, because anxious nerves getting through the show. And so many things were going wrong. It was throwing me off from remembering everything I need to remember. Who got the body? The question asked in every Black passing to determine who gets to dress up the dead, paint our faces to make us look like the living as service to our send-off. Who got the body? Who possesses the repossessed, taken back by a God who recalls us for faulty functioning? Exhausted wear and tear, war-torn time travel, who adorns us? Dust us over in the newfound but final fondness of ugly foundation? Who folds our fingers into prayer as a sign we are hoping in the next life to belong to ourselves? In my childhood, I belonged to everybody. They told me who to be and who I dare not. My father cautioned me, threatened me against failure, against presenting the worst possibilities of my person in the world, trained me to try and try again, accepting that anything less than success would make me worthless. He cautioned, threatened me with punishment, lorded over my masculinity with caveats of conditional castration, turned me into one of his women, his second seat servant, silent subject, dared me to have a dick, dominated me with speechlessness and special attention to my need to know that the only man of the house was him. Is the lady of the house home? Certainly we are. One of us born with a womb to birth bodies not assigned the same schedule of corporeal deference as herself. One of us carved out in the middle of his body. My father was a surgeon who specialized in the removal of scrotums. He took my most precious gift, including my desire to father, because fathers who walk the world with bloody hands and carry our genitalia as talisman around their necks, as brutal badges of honor stylized as special kinds of noose, who never learned to hang the men who lynch us. Who got the body? He do. They do. Who do, in the words of men with cursing mouths who condition us to hate whole childhoods, to envy actual children. They got the body. Father and fear, who grips us about the neck, occasionally allowing gasps of air to feed their need for living signifiers of supremacy. The hands of a father are a boogeyman, a nighttime revelation that fear never sleeps. Fear is the hardest working man alive because there is always so much more life to take, so much surrender to commandeer, so much potential to swallow whole. Fear, the insatiable chupacabra sucking the blood of sheep through straws. I have a hole in the bottom of my belly for it now. I make it easy for them. And sometimes I call the sensation butterflies just before exsanguination, draining when I am made one of the untouchable dead. The hands of a father are the fearful folklore of family, creating all the omens of our sick psychology, all the what will happen if I try and do not triumph tooth fairies, knocking out our teeth from our mouths and telling us to put them under pillows as reminders that they are the Lord of our words. Who got the body? They do. Fear and the fathers. When I was 9, I saw my father naked and I knew I was not a man. I wonder now if time intends such moments as surgical stratagem to undercut us into forever boy bodies, unforgettable reminders that we are required to be eternally emotionally infantile, and that we can never be as big as our first glimpse of our fathers in the world who got the body they do. Fear and the fathers. And stop there. Um, hmm. So I wrote this poem back in 2021. I was trying to work through a whole lot of grief that was current at the time, and a lot of grief, I would say, that was associated with my childhood, and most especially my father and stepfather. Both of whom, father and stepfather, both of whom disowned me, one at birth and the other upon the occurrence of what might be considered a different kind of birth in my life. As I, look at the story, the day that I had to tell my parents that my sibling had been molesting me. I know if any of my family watches this, it's gonna make things interesting. Y'all be all right. I'll come back to that part of the conversation shortly. But around 2023, so that was 2021, I wrote the poem. Around 2023, when I finally settled down with a therapist who worked for me, we actually have a good relationship, and I knew this was the right therapist. This poem came up again during one of our sessions. When I found her, I was down bad, at a point of crisis, and I reached out, sent her an email through Psychology Today. Those of you who may need a good therapist and don't know where to start to look and locate one, go to Psychology Today. They've got a complete registry there, and you can search and look for specific specializations and race, gender, whatever it is that you're looking for in a therapist, you can find it there. But anyway, I was down bad, point of crisis, and I knew that I needed somebody to save me or to help me learn how to save myself. So we go through the whole story, the beginning dating stages of therapy. You got to get to know each other and all of those things. You got to tell your story from the beginning. We went through all of the trauma. And one of the main places that we landed over and over and over and over again in all those sessions for a few years was shame, which ultimately ended up in a suggestion that, you should also see a sex therapist to talk about all of that childhood stuff. And so 2 therapists at once. And I was shocked, though, in these conversations about shame, I was shocked to discover how many layers of shame there can be in a person's life. Every time I thought that I had had a breakthrough and had conquered an area of shame, I'd go back the next week or in 2 weeks and she'd uncover yet another layer of shame. And it was blowing my mind because I didn't realize that I was wearing that much shame on and in my spirit. And it got to the point where I told her a few weeks ago, because before the therapy sessions start, I always get this text message that gives me the link for the virtual login. And I told her when I got on, I said, I saw that text message and I was like, girl, go on. Ain't nobody got time to deal with you today, completely messing up my energy for the rest of the day. I'm going to be down bad for the rest of the day talking to you. But as we were deconstructing the shame, questions that kept coming up over and over again were: 1, where did you learn that? Where did you learn to be ashamed? 2, why did you believe what the information that was given to you? Right? Why did you believe it? And also, when did you first feel this? And time again, the point of origin was my stepfather. You see, the day that I told him and my mother that I was being molested, his response was, I don't know whether to beat him for doing it or you for not telling us. Now, fast forward many, many years, and in therapy, I realized that in that moment, he was actually acknowledging his suspicions of my possibly being a queer child growing into a queer man. And he was also passively blaming me for my experience with abuse. But the important thing here is, in sharing that story, is it isn't the trauma, it isn't the molestation, it isn't the confrontation, it isn't the pain of carrying that in the body. It's the impact of the experience of shame. Because in that moment, I didn't hear that what had happened to me was shameful. What I heard in my 9 or 10-year-old brain, I can't really process or remember what age it was when this conversation happened. But in my 9 or 10-year-old brain, what I heard was that I am shameful. I am a shameful thing. Not even a human being. I am I am shame. I am the living, walking embodiment of shame. Somehow or another, in being abused, I have let everybody down. And that became this thought that sort of ruled and governed my life. I carried that in my body into my 40s. And when we started confronting it, I was shocked by how much his voice was in my head every single day, making me feel shame, telling me that who I am and who I can be, that what I'm doing isn't right. And that could be in regard to manhood, it could be in regard to money management, taking care of my home and my responsibilities, my job, everything, everything. His voice became the measuring tape that you were talking about. And I was always coming up short in my head and not recognizing that the voice I was listening to, the voice that was, I thought my I am, was not my own. It was his. And I certainly didn't understand at that age that his feelings about me had nothing to do with me at all. I'm still, just turned 51, still working him out of my head. There are days when I'm home and my husband is about to get home from work and there are dishes in the sink and something inside me gets anxious and feels like, well, I better get up and get those dishes done before he gets here. And it doesn't in that moment immediately occur to me, bitch, this man has never once cared about whether or not there are dishes in the sink. He doesn't even see the dishes in the sink. He walks past them. He doesn't see the dishes in the sink. Why are you worried about getting this done before he walks in the house? There are no consequences if the dishes are there. But in my body remembers the consequences. And I get anxious and I feel like I better get up and go do X, Y, Z. And I realized at a certain point, I can't say, I'm not going to say the way that I say it in my head, but that's that. Yeah. I know that voice in my head. Now, one of the tools, how have I worked through this? One of the tools that has been instrumental in helping me unlearn this behavior, Charles Haanel's The Master Key System. Let me get that up for you so you can see at least the cover of the book that I'm talking about. I thought I had that. Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, let's go here. All right. So Charles Haanel's The Master Key System. Master Key System is a classic New Thought book, first published as a 24-week correspondence course in 1912, teaching readers to use the power of thought, concentration, and creative visualization to achieve success, health, and prosperity. It explains how the mind is a creative center that shapes reality, and by controlling one's thoughts, individuals can manifest desired conditions in their external life, aligning with principles like the law of attraction. System is structured with weekly lessons, exercises, and Q&A sections, and it's major inspiration for later works like the Secret and Think Grow Rich, right? You can find this, and I've actually included a link for you in the description for this particular episode. You can find the audiobook on YouTube, and you can listen to the chapters. I personally listen to them during my commute. I haven't gotten through all 24 because what I'll do is figure out there's a particular chapter that I want to digest. So I'm going to listen to this chapter every single day this week. And then sometimes I may come back. If I don't feel like I've digested that fully, I'll come back and listen to that one again. So I'm still working through all of the chapters, but you can find the audiobook on YouTube for free and you can listen to the chapters. There's also, I did not post a link for this because I'm pretty sure this is illegal, but if you just type in the Master Key System PDF, you can find the full book online, but you're going to have to go do that work yourself because they're not going to get me for that. But specifically, I entitled this, Who Do You Think You Are? Based on part 2, which is Thought is Energy, and part 4, which is Energy is Power. And I want to share a few excerpts to give you the main concepts that I want to apply, or just give you a summary, actually. So chapter 2, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are the central the part of this. The main argument is that the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind, does the deepest creative and regulatory work in a person's life. It governs everything from our involuntary bodily functions to skilled, quote unquote, effortless mastery. Haanel points to figures like Shakespeare and Beethoven, people who like have a natural talent for a particular thing, right? And that there's something in the subconscious that enables them to do this. The conscious mind reasons inductively, inductively, deductively, and analytically. And it has the underused power to direct the subconscious Haanel calls the conscious mind the watchman at the gate. But the main point is practical. The conscious mind's job is to screen what's allowed into the subconscious, since indiscriminately admitting every thought and every idea is like letting everybody and their mother into an exclusive club, and it creates chaos. So self-mastery for Haanel begins with consciously controlling what you let take root in the deeper mind. Chapter 4, the real I, and the thought as energy. This chapter argues that the true self, or the I, is distinct from both the body and the mind. The body is just the instrument, and the ego uses it to act, and the mind is the instrument it uses to think, reason, and plan. Realizing this distinction gives us a sense of power because it clarifies what you are, who you really are, what you want, and how you can get it. Chapter 4's larger claim is that thought is a form of energy, right? And prior religion, sciences, and philosophies have mistaken the effects of that energy for the energy itself. Like, we're only concerned about the outcome of that, right? Whereas Haenel's system is concerned with cause, not effect. So he frames that real power and mastery is something that is achieved through service. You can't give what you don't have. So you must become strong and generous in order to act as a channel for the universal to express itself through you. All right, we get this. The subconscious mind is where creativity happens, right? And thoughts themselves are energy, and that energy manifests. The takeaway from this is that what you allow yourself to hear, this is what I want you to remember. What you allow yourself to hear, not in the physical sense, but at the deeper level of spiritual hearing, and internalization, you enter into contract with to become. That's why you can't let people talk to you crazy and tell you what you are and what you aren't, and what you can be, what you can't be, and what you can do and what you can't achieve. Because when you allow yourself to hear that, and deeply, spiritually, right? What you allow yourself to hear, you enter into contract with to become. What you embrace as thought works to become action. And your performance of thought shapes environment through impact, response, and consequence. If you've ever read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, you know that he insists that when you desire a thing, all of the universe conspires to make it happen. But the extension of that rule really is that when you truly believe a thing, the universe also conspires to create what you believe, because thought is creative power. So in essence, we live in the house that we build with our mouth, right? You may say, my life is not where I want it to be, but that's a lie. It's exactly where you want it to be and what you have created. Are there forces or occurrences that are sometimes beyond our control? Yes. Sickness, abuse, etc. I'm not talking about those things. You didn't want those. You didn't manifest those into existence. I'm talking about the power of the inner world to mirror itself in the choices we make in the outer world, and through that enacting creation. That's what I'm talking about. So the two things I've learned through therapy, through reading the Master Key System, through writing poetry about this stuff and processing and shedding the layers of shame. Two things that I've learned you have to monitor. One, what you allow yourself to deeply hear, which then means that you must be selective about who you allow around you to speak into you. When you're a child, you don't have any agency, and we become products of the information that was fed to us. But at this big age, at this big grown age, surrounding yourself with people who, are speaking negatively into your life, or who are constantly just negative people, no. So you must monitor what you allow yourself to hear. And two, you must monitor what you allow yourself to say about you, right? I think of it in terms of, Ascari, because most of the time I feel like I'm engaging in some way always my inner child, right? And what I say, what I allow myself to say out of my mouth, he hears. And I asked the question once, like, if there was such a thing as a spiritual CPS, Child Protective Services, and they were asked to come out and do a wellness check and to monitor how you treat your inner child, would you catch a case for abuse?
I'm writing that poem. Thank you.
You can have it. Would you catch a case for abuse? Are you a good parent to your inner child? Do you take out time for him daily, or do you just get home from work and you're tired and it's like, all right, go do your thing. Mama needs some sleep. Daddy needs to go lay down or whatever. I don't have time to talk to you. And he's been waiting for you to talk to him all day long. He's been anxious all day long. You were anxious and you didn't know why you were anxious. You were anxious because he was anxious. Did you take the time to talk to him and calm him down, or did you just let him sit and stew in it? Would a spiritual CPS agent or come out to your house, monitor you and say, hey, I don't know what you're doing with your inner child, but we got to take him. We got to get him out of here because you're dangerous with that mouth, right? I wonder how much of the condition and the life we find ourselves fighting to get from under is due to the information that we were given about ourselves that became our I am and that we reinforced. And our transformation of that thought into matter through our speech and the alignment of our actions with it. I want to be clear, though. Neither the goal nor the suggestion here is that you should not have negative thoughts. That's unavoidable. The goal, however, is to examine them, to question them, to deconstruct them and challenge them, because you know what they can become, and you know that you have to replace them before they get to that point. When I didn't challenge my toxic I am thoughts that were rooted in shame that came from somebody else's mouth and the way that they saw me, because seeing what happened to me under their watch made them feel like a failure. So it was easier to make me feel like the problem, right? When I didn't monitor those thoughts and those questions, they became so many other things that I didn't want. They became depression and anxiety and PTSD and bulimia and low self-esteem and spiritual and physical vulnerabilities and addictions and toxic habits and self-deprecation. Thought seeds produced all that fruit. So the thing to avoid is not dialoguing and deconstructing, because the thing that you allowed to take up space in your inner world that should not be there forbids the manifestation of the spacious vision that your heart wants to hold space for. They exist energetically in opposition to one another, and they cannot peacefully or sustainably coexist. They would always be at war with one another. Are you at war with yourself? Are you at war within yourself right now? I didn't know it, but I was at war with peace for a very long time because I refused to displace my familiar inner enemy, the thoughts, the way of thinking about myself, my possibilities, my life, that have been with me since I was a child. So they were familiar. You're an enemy that felt, because it had been there for so long, felt like a friend. I'm trying to convey here that your manifestation of the good of your best self and your best life waits for you to make space for it. And when you clear out all of the inner enemies that have been squatting in there, it says then and only then I'll pick a plot in your life. But what you won't do is trick me into moving in and trying to coexist and compete with those other voices, those other people in that chaos. How many people live inside you? How many people live inside your identity, your sense of self right now? How many people's voices disguised as your own are you hearing? We talk about artificial intelligence as if it is a new thing. You've been receiving artificial intelligence since the day that you were born. You sleepy, ain't you? Look at you. You've been receiving artificial intelligence since the day that you were born. You know what I mean? You talk about like voice spoofing, where they call your house and then they record your voice and then they can use it and force it to say things that maybe you didn't say. You've been experiencing voice spoofing since childhood. Other voices disguised as your own that have been taking advantage of you. You know, artificial intelligence. You've been a victim of artificial intelligence for a long time. I'm just, you know, um, this is why affirmation practice is so important, because it is active reconstruction. It is active reprogramming. It is ripping the program out of your hard drive and with intention installing a new program. How often should I meditate? How often should I use manifestations? How bad do you want to change? How miserable are you? You know, how deep is your pain? How much does it hurt? Because if it is the truth that sets us free, it is the lie that keeps us bound, and you are letting the lies have free reign and allowing them to just take up space to basically jump your I am and beat his or her ass every single day and force them to conform to whatever they want you to be. So I have some questions, and this is the homework uh, for everybody. But you and I are going to talk about this. We can talk about this now. Um, Number one, what are the three biggest lies that have infiltrated your sense of selfhood or identity? Number two, where did those lies originate? Number three, what has been the impact of the lies on your sense of identity or selfhood? Number four, what are the opposing truths? And number five, what are you actively doing to uproot those lies? So that's five questions. Those are five journal prompts: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all down through the week. But let's start. Let's talk about this. Ascari, the first question: what are the three biggest lies that have infiltrated your sense of selfhood? Now you know. We have an agreement with the people to show up here vulnerable and honest. I'll tell you that for me, the three lies, one would have been that I am shameful. Two would have been that I am not good enough. And three was that I would never be um I would never be a good enough quote unquote man, which is like sort of with not being quote unquote masculine enough, right? Um, those three lies profoundly affected most of my years. What are yours? And hold on, the audience, to those of you over in the chat, we see you. If you want to drop yours in there, I would love to read some of those out as we're going through this conversation too. All right, let's go.
I'm not enough is definitely one of them. Not being worthy without achieving something that makes me worthy.
Mm.
I haven't done enough. I think all of those things are the same thing, but I am not enough. I haven't done enough. My value is based off of how much I've achieved, or how much I have yet to achieve.
And so, sorry, I was trying to unplug the things that were causing static over here. Where did you learn? Where do you feel like you learned these things?
In childhood. My father is was a very hardworking man. And so I learned without him saying it, I learned that like a man is supposed to be always working and be always doing something, or else he's not a man. Because the comparison was like the bums and then my dad who's working all the time. So these two extremes, right? My father saw me twice a month, and throughout my childhood, he was working every day pretty much. I think he had maybe he might have took Sundays off, and on those Sundays, it was like maybe a meal, maybe a sit out and watch him work on something at home. Um, very much a tinkerer, very much a like he just can't stop working. Um, and I think that I've taken that on to my detriment. And I'm actively trying to fight that. Like I have friends who are telling me like, "Why are you working so much?" And I'm trying to explain to them, why, and it doesn't make sense.
I don't know how not to.
Right, right.
Yeah. Hold on though, hold on, because you said I am actively working to however you worded it. Um, how are you confronting that? Because I've called you on a Sunday and you were at work, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like they don't pay you
Yeah,
enough for
yeah,
this? What are you
right,
doing?"
right. So, so um, I think that when you are, and I do this with poetry, I do this with a bunch of stuff. It's kind of
Mhm,
it's the superpower that is also the kryptonite. Um, the desire to complete something. I get into like hyper focus on completion, and time kind of fades away. I can do that with drawing. I can do that with painting. I can do that with poetry, and I tend to do that with work. So if I'm doing something and it's not complete, well, I'm gonna keep going at it until I feel like
mhm,
I've gotten in either I'm dead tired and I can't keep going,
mhm.
or I'm gonna complete it. And when you're working for yourself, it's still a bad practice, but it works out better, right? Because your completion of the project ends up with the reward of having money and so forth and so forth. And then how long you take to do it or the detail you put into it, that becomes your resume, right? Or your referral system. But when you have a job, it's not the same, right? And so I'm not getting any
You
more
don't get
money
the
for working
reward.
harder,
Mhm.
right? I don't get none of the thing. And so my friends are like, "Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "I've been doing this for like my whole life. You want me to I can't. It's not like I could just hit the brakes on this. I have to actually tell myself like, "Hey, you need to stop." I have to set multiple alarms. I have to do all these things to remind myself to pull myself out of the focus because I'm in
Mhm.
that it's like I got horse blinders on. I don't see anything else when I'm working. When I'm working, I'm just working. And that is a very very like I said, it's good and bad. It's good cuz like the ability to focus like that, a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
However.
it's bad. It's yeah. It's at the same time, it's a very very bad thing. And so I've been working on like figuring out where it is, where it lies is my value is in the completion, right? And so if I don't complete it, then it's messing with how I see myself.
But who taught you that? That's the question. Like, because I think this makes the difference. The motivation behind it, right, makes the difference, especially when we're doing things that may potentially be detrimental to our health. And it may seem like, well, how is working detrimental to your health? Because you need to rest.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you need to rest. Right. And also if psychologically what's motivating the work is really rooted in one of those other internal voices that you're trying to appease and gain their approval and their favor when they're not even involved in the equation, then it becomes like a whole other situation that we got to think about. Like, what are we really doing here? What are we
Right.
really working for? Because I resonate with that part of the story. My stepfather was ex Navy, retired Navy, and as a child, I never knew what it was like. I never experienced sleeping in ever. We didn't sleep in. He was up at 5 a.m. We were up at 5 a.m. We lived in Florida. It was going to be 90 degrees by 9 o'clock. So get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, put some work clothes on, eat your breakfast, go outside, pull weeds, sweep the carport, wash the cars, mow the grass, get out there in the garden and pick whatever needs to be picked. Fold your clothes and do your laundry, clean the bathroom, dust, vacuum, do the dishes, mop the kitchen floor. Make sure that you put some old English furniture polish on all of the furniture. Make sure that you take that Windex and clean the TV and all. And then you can think about resting or playing, but you don't think about doing any of those things until you got all this stuff done. Now, as an adult, you know, as I've said many times, though I would like to go out there to the cemetery and piss on his grave, I have I have gained an appreciation for how he taught me the importance of taking care of things. But to this day, I'm up every day at 4 a.m.
Right.
I like being up that time of the morning, but I do not know what it is to sleep in. at around, if I slept any later than 6:30, 7 o'clock, my back starts to hurt and I have to get up. I can move to another part of the house and go to sleep. But this, I had to come to terms recently with the fact that in assessing how I felt at the end of the school year, you're not lazy, you're not unproductive, this doesn't make you less of anything. You're just tired. You're 51 years of tired and you need to go to bed and you need to learn how to sleep in. Even if it's just 5:30 instead of 4 o'clock, you need to learn how to sleep in because what you're doing is not healthy. It's not good for you. And your body at this age, and the scar, you are getting old. Um, at this age, the body is saying, bitch, go to bed. Sit down
Yeah,
sometimes and do
yeah,
absolutely nothing and learn how to just be okay with not doing anything because you don't have to earn rest and you don't have to justify it.
right, right. I think that's the other part about it is like also coming to terms with my body just can't do the same things I used to be able to do. I'm
True.
very I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty, so when it comes to any kind of construction, the main thing is that you're able to pick up 50 pounds over your head and carry it up a ladder,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Like that's the
mhm.
average. So I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? And it's like that's not right. No,
Good
no,
for
not
you. You can have that shit. No,
right.
no.
But it's just a matter of like, I know I can do it, but am I supposed to be doing that? Right. And so
You
there's
got
a
ex
there's a thing. My grandfather, who I never met, never got a chance to meet, he passed away. I was told that he passed away roofing. He was roofing
Mhm.
it at 60 years old. And roofers back in the day, this ain't today. They used to throw the shingles
Yeah.
50
Mm-mm.
pounds on their back, carry it up, and it would be
Mm-mm.
like maybe 20 packs of 50 that they're carrying up
Ain't nobody
ladders.
doing all that shit. That's crazy as hell. Where
Right. And so there's a part of me that my base programming, I watch my father bring in his tools every day, right? He had a van or he had a truck,
Mhm.
depending on which vehicle he had, but he had his tools weighed about, to me at the time, I would say 500 pounds. He had about 6 or 7 bags full of tools, and each one was about 45 to 50 pounds. Um,
Mhm.
some of them even more heavier, right? And so
Mhm.
I used to like he would call me and say, "Hey, come help me pull in the tools or whatever." But I would watch him because we lived in Southwest Philadelphia, very criminally minded neighborhood. So our
Mhm.
cars were always being broken into. So he would
Mhm.
bring all the tools out of the car every day. He would take them out, 500 pounds going out, 500 pounds going in. And I watched him do that over and over and over again to the point where by the time I was in my teenage years, I would go grab the tools with no problem. So I was learning to be strong in a way that I didn't know was even strength. It was just my everyday, right? And then when I got to the point of seeing him, he had a stroke and his body has been deteriorating ever since. Um, and I'm like, oh, his gym was his workout, was his work. His
Mm.
workout was his
His
was
work
the
was his
his
was
work
his
was the
gym.
gym.
Mhm.
Right. And so I also think about that in my relationship to my work. It's like I don't want to lose my fitness because I'm not working as hard. And that's you know what I mean? I just think about it.
You
It's
you
not a
getting old. You getting
yeah.
old.
Yeah.
And at a certain age, I'm learning we have to be willing to let some things go. You know, I
I'm
get everything that you're saying. I just know I'd like over the past week or so, I've also been having this conversation within myself about because you get up and you write down your to-do list for today and it's got 15 things on it. And then you start moving into your day and you might get 2 of them done. And then the day ends and you feel like a failure when you go to sleep. And then you wake up the next morning in that feeling and you do the list again. And the same thing happens over again. And then it just shame, guilt, all of
right.
that shit just starts to compound and to build within you. That muscle can be built too, and it's built through the practices that we engage with in our lives. And at a certain point, again, always happens, I'm washing dishes and thinking, and this little voice says the problem is not is not your capacity. It's not. It has nothing to do with you being a failure. It has everything to do with your list, because your list is not realistic, and you've been trained into having unrealistic expectations of yourself. Go back and take some shit off that list. Whittle that list down and give yourself 1 or 2 things to do today, because you know those are the 1 or 2 things that you're going to do, that you're actually going to get accomplished, and let that be enough. It is what it is, and that is okay.
Right.
Your knees don't allow you to run anymore. Walk on that treadmill and don't feel any kind of way about, the fact that as you get older, your body is changing. I found that one of the big traps in life tends to be when we have a formula going in a certain era or period of our life that is working, and then life changes and the period changes, and we don't really pick up on the fact that things have changed, and we're still trying to apply that same formula to this new season, and it's not working and we're not able to do it. And then we feel bad about ourselves because we feel like we're not making progress. This season has different demands. This season may need you to take some naps.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This season may need you to have a list. I need a slower life.
I think about that often. I always think about moving to another country and just being like, it's so much easier to other places. You don't have to like the it's also like the work environment, right? Sometimes ask you to work at a certain level, even if you want to take breaks and all of that. They ask, there's a certain things that you have to do, especially in my job when I'm a boss. I'm telling other people what to do. That has also been um difficult and stressful in the aspects of, this is my team, they represent my ability, my output, right? And so keeping them
Mhm.
in line, as well as keeping myself in line, as well as like when they don't get stuff done, somebody has to still make sure that it's done.
Mhm.
And so I've in essence been a bad coach in that way, in which I've been not
Mhm.
allowing people to fail.
Yeah. Uh, Same thing, like, even as an educator, teaching college English at an HBCU for a long time, just trying to keep up, and then also during that period having ADHD and not knowing it, I wasn't able to keep up. And there was this constant feeling of failure because I wasn't grading the papers fast enough. There might be some days where I live 2 hours away. I have a 2 hour commute to work. I have good intentions when I leave work, that I'm going to get home and do all this work and planning. But then when I get home, I'm tired. So I might go to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening and not get out until the next day. Um, and I might show up for class and not, or show up to work in the morning and not really have a lesson plan figured out. I've been teaching a long time. I taught the same stuff over and over again. Of course, I can walk into the classroom and read the room and give them what they need, but I couldn't feel good about that skill, that ability, because I was measuring myself against this impossible standard that I thought everybody else was living up to. And then you go and you talk to everybody else and find out what their experiences are like on a daily basis. And you find out everybody else is doing the same. That all of us are just trying to do the best that we can from day to day.
Yep. Yeah.
And everybody shows up sometimes and they don't have a lesson plan, or don't know what they're going to do, 30 minutes before they walk in that room. It happens.
Right.
It happens, right? So then that's where the voices come into play, because this standard that you have, where did you learn that? And was it truthful? Is it a realistic standard?
Right.
Is it attainable? Has it infected your I am to the point that now you define yourself by what you're not able to accomplish and do, and not giving yourself the credit for what the things that you actually do? Ramrock over in the chat says that the 3 lies that have impacted him are: 1, that he says, my wounds are my credentials. That's deep. 2, I want to know what. Ram, you should let me send you a link, because you could pop here to talk too. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat, and you can join us if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not, no pressure or whatever, but I'll put it there. I'll put the invitation there as I read the rest of your list. There's the link. Number 2, that I must translate myself to be loved. And number 3, that I am only as real as my out. Yeah, you need to go and hit that button and come in here and talk to us. Oh, he says he can't right now. I'm out. God damn, he lying. He lie all the time. That's another one of the lies. You a lying ass lie. I'm not, let's see, that I must translate myself to be loved, that I am only as real as my output, and that my wounds are my credentials. He'll probably put it on what is it, Substack. But anyway, I'm
Wounds are
you
my
know,
credentials is a
it's a poem. He's gonna write it. I promise you.
yeah,
He
man.
will write it. You'll read it before the week is over with. I'm just saying, in this whole thing, like, figure out what the lies are. Wherever you find yourself in pain, struggling, suffering, miserable, that's barring like physical pain, um, you know, real pain, right? Barring all of that stuff, in terms of the emotional and the psychological pain that we experience, you know what they always say, like, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, right? We're going to experience pain, but we do not have to suffer. Wherever you are suffering, let me correct the language there. Where are the lies? Where are the lies that are supporting and undergirding the suffering? And then the last part of it, the last part of this series of questions that we're turning into like journal prompts. Well, not the last part, but what are the opposing truths? Number 4, what are the opposing truths? Right? We spend a lot of time rehearsing, reciting the lies, turning them into a manifested life, but we do not oftentimes devote as much energy and effort to trying to figure out what the truths are. And that is the only way that you will ever find freedom within yourself, is by finding the truth. The truth. Okay. So, any last thoughts, ideas before we get up on out of here? This was good. This is a good conversation.
Yeah, it was definitely good. When I think back to your own, having your own book, having your own Bible. I think that
Living
that
truth.
the living truth. You have to have that in place because of this, right? And I think about how our brain is like a radio station, right? And like you're on one station, the station might be pumping all this negative stuff that you hear, and then you're acting it out, right? No different than how we hear some music and we start dancing. We're moving to the rhythms of this voice that is going on, and we simply need to turn the channel, you know what I mean, to something more holistic, to something more that's giving us more of what we need to hear to balance it all. And then that's not to say you're not going to hear that other voice. It's always going to be present because it's foundational, right? But you can turn down the volume though, by turning up the volume on these other things. And so I think that aspect of a living truth, but also for it to be like an audio book, like so you can hear your own voice, like you were talking about, that we hear in our heads. But if we do it outside of ourselves, and now we can play it back to ourselves and start to reprogram that voice that's internal by making an external version of it and then pulling it into ourselves over and over and over again. I've been working on that little by little, and I haven't put enough focus on it, I will say, because I find that I'm going through these cycles, and I get to a point where I'm like, this was my problem 6 months ago, or this was my problem a year ago. Like, I already identified that this was the issue, but I haven't put a system in place that's going to make sure that I don't keep coming up to this problem, to this fork in the road, if you will.
So, what are you going to do this week?
There is a I got you. There is a
What are you going to do this
well,
week?
this week specifically, I am going to set multiple alarms for my to take a break. I haven't been taking lunches, so I'm going to actually take all my lunches this week, and I'm going to make sure that when I take my lunches, I'm also gonna like create a set of what I'm gonna do before I start and then just call it a day. Right? Whether I get it done or not, this is what I try to do is I'm gonna break it down to like smaller bites and then be like, all right, I can get this done. If it's done, it's done. If it's not, there's tomorrow.
Hmm.
There's no,
Hmm.
I don't get paid more to work faster. It's not like I'm a contractor anymore.
No, it's always going to be plenty of work
Right,
forever.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so, and that relief of that, I need to make that the project. I need to make the patience the project rather than the projects lose my patience. You know what I mean? Making me lose my patience with myself.
Hmm.
I need to make that the ultimate project for my life is just being graceful with me.
Hmm. Okay. I am when I had that whole thought process about like a central book, even though like I am in the writing quote unquote my own Bible, there are books that I could be reading as, sort of life manuals on a regular basis. I need to get through the master key system, but I do because I really like the you go read
Yeah,
it for
yeah, I'm gonna go
yourself.
read it.
Like the concept or listen to the audiobook, whatever, whichever one you want. But the concepts are extremely powerful and useful. And I think I need to get back to like reconditioning my brain. Number one, using that. And then number two, um, two things that I said I was going to do that I have not done yet was, well, they're really one thing, but quiet time after 7 o'clock. Cause my phone, for those people who know me, who try to contact me, they know that my phone goes into do not disturb mode at 7 p.m. and comes out at 9 a.m. because I don't want to be bothered. I don't want nobody messing up my energy before I go to bed, and I don't want you messing up my energy first thing in the morning. So I've had to institute that rule for myself. But the new thing is turning everything off and just doing silence from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Just sitting with my thoughts, meditating, and allowing my space to like myself space to breathe and to decompress every day. That part has not been happening, but it is definitely something that I need to do because um, there's this other part of me that chases stimulation and dopamine constantly in order to feel regulated. And that part needs to change. That has to change. Right. So that's it. That's all we got for Soul Speak today. I hope you all heard something that was beneficial to you. Ram couldn't come in. He said he was in a garden center in Walmart. What is he doing in the garden center in
What you
Walmart?
doing in Walmart?
He probably in. I'm gonna tell you what. Let me tell you exactly what he's doing. He's walking through the garden center with a Ziploc bag, picking up pieces of plants that fell off because he don't want to actually pay for the plant, so he can go home and propagate. He'll be with us next week. He'll be with us next week. So, well, yeah, I got to confirm, make sure that's still a go. But we can talk to him next week and circle back on some things if we need to. Again, shout out to Mahogany Soul, sending you much love, hugs, and kisses, and
Yes.
all of the things. Those of you who supported us today, we thank you and appreciate you. If you'd like to support the podcast as we are growing and trying to get better and mastering technology and all that, today was. It is what
It
it
is what it is.
is.
It
It is
is
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
But the main thing that should have been the main thing, the conversation was where it needed to land. But we appreciate you. If you'd like to support us, you can definitely hit us at Cash App at $ TARIQ 43. That's Tariq 43. All right. Not Tariq 43. And all of that. And please make sure that you share the link. Make sure that before we log off that you subscribe and let somebody else know about the Formula Podcast. Remember that the motto here is ascension is the outcome of experience in proper perspective. In the Buddhist tradition, they say there are 1,000 aspects to every experience, which means no matter what happens to you, there are 1,000 different ways that you can choose to think about it.
Mm.
Which way are you choosing? What are the thoughts you're selecting? Because those thoughts are creating your reality. Remember, as a takeaway, that we have been living under and with and through artificial intelligence for a long time, and in the same way that artificial intelligence is now able to produce false images of people and deep fakes. I wonder, and I want you to ask yourself, have you been a deep fake? Have you been showing up as an avatar version of yourself in life? Have you been showing up as the representative and not the real thing
Mm.
based on artificial information? I know, I got my reading glasses on today. Don't be a deep fake. Everybody look at your neighbor and say, don't be a deep fake.
Don't be
We
a
love
deep
you.
fake.
Have a good day. Have a good Sunday and a productive week. I will post the journal prompts up on Instagram. Follow us over there as well. And yeah, we'll see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. Bye now. Y'all be sweet.